Hello, everybody. It's a Tuesday evening. Yeah, I know most of you are coming out of training sessions, or at least you're going home, you're heading home from training session. But that's a perfect opportunity for you. Ufunge dirisha ya matatu, ama ufunge dirisha ya gari vizuri. Then you put your phone on, earphones on. We start the discussion. With me, this is a very wonderful show. I have now a lady and someone from Mombasa. Yeah, that is very nice. Doreen, mnaniangushanga sana.
Leo tumekuinua.
Sawa. So let me start with the introductions. Of course, for those who don't know me, or for the people who don't know me, I'm Saibon. But if you want to find me on social media, it's that username down there below. I have with me Moses Kagochi. How are you, Moses?
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And I have Doreen.
Hi.
Hi. And I have Mariano Amadau. How are you, sir?
Hi, good evening.
Unajua
I'm
kwa
fine.
hii panel kwa hii panel yote wewe ndio mkubwa. You are a very senior person.
Wow. Not really. We're all senior in our own perspective.
Yeah.
That is what I wanted to hear, because Mariano never accepts to be given titles. But yeah, let's head into this. We are here to discuss about the recently held African Cup of Nations 2022, which also doubled up as a qualifier for the World Cup in 2022 and 2023. Let me start with Doreen. What's your feeling? What do you feel about this tournament when someone just tells you to give an overview of the tournament in a sentence or to express your feelings?
Well, the tournament was, I feel like the teams would have gotten a better position. Yeah, better position. Podium finish. Yeah, based on what I saw, the match that I saw, I feel like they would have done a little bit better. Yeah, but we know there are factors that affected them, but I feel like the performance would have been much better. Yeah.
Okay. Kagochi, sad day for you in terms of the men. One of your teams ikakula namba 5, hiyo ingine nayo ikakula namba 4. What is your mood? What is your feeling currently?
Okay, for me, it's bittersweet. When I say bittersweet, when I look at the bigger picture of African hockey, it means our guys are growing. The gaps are really closing down. There is no big player, no small player. Secondly, for both the teams, I think our inconsistency in keeping our tactical discipline is costing us. So I mean, I'm talking like a serious coach, meaning that we have everything we got. Our players can match any player, any team, toe to toe. But where we are losing is on the tactical discipline, keeping, working, believing in our systems and working towards our systems. The other things we are going to address as the show go on, which I picked up, and it's quite annoying, not because of the teams, but because of the environment that the teams are in.
Yeah.
You know, so there's a lot of talk, but I'm happy. I think Kenya had the youngest amongst the youngest team, removing Namibia out of it. I think for me, I was really impressed with the boys. They had no fear factor. They give it their all. Yeah, for the ladies, I was quite disappointed. The finals. They could have made the finals easily anytime, but we know what the logistic issues. Anyway, but for me, what really saddens me, it's a clear-cut picture of what lack of international competition is affecting the other African countries. because South Africa are there because they consistently play internationally, so they are tried and tested their systems in different environments. But for us, we only have 5 or 6 games to prove our tactical awareness and tactical discipline. So
Yeah. Mariano, let's start from the beginning. There were some doubts over the traveling of the squad. We were not sure whether the squad will travel. Do you think that some of that stress or strain could have caused the teams not to perform as they had expected, or did they perform more than expected during the tournament?
As Coach Kaguchi has pointed out, it has a lot to do with the environment and the psychological setup that the team had uh, prior to traveling. Personally, I was in touch with one of the players, and up until Sunday evening, as a player is not sure whether you're traveling or not. You understand the anxiety that comes with it, the excitement that comes with it. There is hope that comes with it. And then that fear that this bubble and excitement might just be snapped out of you. So by the time they're told they're ready to travel, again, they have to psych themselves up. They were in good spirits. That they have a point to prove. So already you can imagine like the ladies team who, when they landed in Accra, they were being told their match has been, it's a walkover, and they had a point to prove. They took it positively. Uh, they tried their best performance-wise to prove that even with the points less or without those points, we can move on to the next level. So on the positive side, they had that resilience to prove a point despite all the challenges, despite the traveling challenges, and for the men's team, they also did the same. So it really points out the resilience that we do have as a team. But then again, in terms of organization, preparation, it did impact on us in the course of the tournament.
Yeah. Doreen, we've seen Jackie.
Yeah, I agree.
So far we can say she has 2 trophies because she won the Mombasa tournament, and now she has the bronze medal for Kenya in the African Cup of Nations. What do you think was going through Jackie's mind in this tournament?
Wow. Well, I'll start by saying I've played with Jackie back in Telkom, and Jackie is a fighter, very focused, and she's one of these people who we were always sure when Jackie gets the ball between the dotted line and the D, that's a goal or a short corner. She would push herself, always. So I believe, and she always believes in what she does. So I had seen an interview which she had done in the press, and I remember her mentioning that she has no doubts with the team and she really believes in the team. And the way she even said it, you could tell that she believes in the team. So I believe what was going through her mind was, if she's watching, that she was going all out. She has done her homework, she's done her groundwork, and she's going all out. She's given her all for the team. But again, if you check the environment, something which you cannot control, it brings in other factors and other emotions like, okay, how am I going to have to probably psych my team despite this uncontrollable issue that has occurred? So I think as a coach, based on where we started from before we landed and those logistical issues, of course, even if it was you, there would be so much going on in your mind. How do I balance out everything I've done, all my preparation, so that it's not cancelled out or negated? So I don't think it was smooth sailing probably for her, but she had to stay focused as she's always been, to make sure she gets to, that destination, which was a podium finish and a possible goal. I believe she was going for the goal. Yeah, so there must have been a lot going through her mind, but I think and I believe she really stayed focused based on the uncontrollable circumstances. Yeah.
Yeah, Kagochi, Kimanzi I can say his first outing as the national team head coach with the men. I'm not sure about the statistics previously, but tough start for him.
Um, there's something I said before we started the show, but let me just be really honest with it. Kenya is blessed to have very good players.
Yeah.
And I think in Africa right now, in terms of coaches, I think Kenya is leading the pack with most qualified coaches in terms of academics. I think the team did quite well. I expected more. I expected more because we are talking about players who are Olympians in the Youth Olympics. We are talking about players who come in from major tournaments. We had the great privilege of having Alano back in the team, Max back in the team. Suddenly, George Mutira got injured. So for me, I won't lie to you, I expected more. And maybe the question we'll ask, did we really exhaust our tactical ability against these teams? And I'll talk like a coach that I think we could have done more. I'm not on a negative side, but again, it's the same problem we are having. I've noticed not only with Kenya but with all other African countries. So that's something we can talk. But first show, not so bad. I expected a bronze, honestly. From what happened in Ismailia and what happened in Stellenbosch, actually Kenya was in a rebuilding phase. Now we are not rebuilding because already we had players in every Meshach and I, when we were there, we had made a decision that every major tournament we are going to take 2 or 3 rookies because we are looking at the future. So most of the rookies there, Barry, during our time, Barry, and the rest of the players, now they are the key players in that team. So on a realistic, I expected more. But again, I'm happy because if you look at it now, if we get an honest feedback, there's something that we need to do to change all this. And maybe in this show, we'll talk about it from what I've seen, not only from Kenya, but from the other African countries. But not a bad show. I'm really happy. I'm so happy with the young rookies. What do you call him? The guy who was playing on the wing.
Masambu.
Hey, Masambu. The South African coach asked me what drugs he's using. But for me, I think it's the no fear factor, and I want it more. I think some of the players really played their hearts out. Robert Masibo, he was exceptional. Basically, everybody did their part. So maybe we should look at it at maybe what could we have done a little bit better if we were supposed to play the same tournament again over again. So again, those are the lessons we need to think about. But I was honestly, I expected a bronze. Worst case scenario.
Yeah, if you guys were watching our previews, we were very optimistic about the Kenyan team. Personally, I thought that this was the year that Kenya would qualify or at least get to the finals, because I looked at South Africa and Egypt, and they also seemed to be struggling. They were not at the level that we are used to. And I thought that the team we had, and I still believe the team we had, was one of the best teams we've had in recent times, because it was a mix of youth and experience. We had speed, we had physicality in it. But Doreen, let me come to you before I now ask Mariano to speak about what Kagochi has said in terms of what we need to do going forward. But we've had this, I don't want to call it an issue, but let me call it a trend. We've had this trend where the men's team, of course, it has more competitive teams in it. If you look at Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa, Egypt, compared to the ladies. But there is this trend where I think in the last 4 competitions, Kenya has finished 4th. What now should we look to do in the upcoming competitions?
this whole thing has to be looked at holistically, from coaches downwards, from players upwards, from management sideways. Like, it has to be whole, because you cannot actually pinpoint that this is actually the problem. You can't put a finger on it. Yeah. But that trend of finishing fourth, definitely there has to be an issue, or there has to be smaller things that are building up to that trend. So is it fatigue? Is it how players are being managed during the tournament? Is it the logistical things? Because what I came to realize is very small things can make a very big difference. Very small things make a very, very big difference. And sometimes it's the small things which are ignored. Yeah. For example, even just the issue of logistics, you arriving somewhere 2 days earlier and arriving late, those are two different outcomes. Those are two different things, and your mind is running very differently. Probably there would be someone who is thinking, okay, is it that we didn't deserve to be here or not? So even this tournament, I'll just push myself as much as I'll have been pushed by the coach. Probably it would have been different if tumefika mapema, we are psyched up, we are psyching each other, we are dealing with the mental blocks, and now we are set. Yeah. So I think how we can approach it, apart from all the way from the coaches and the players and the management, also the player as an individual, because it's the player who is always on the pitch. Yeah. This player, like, for me, how I would look at it, do they have some mental blocks of some sort that, okay, we were fourth last season, we were fourth the last competition, so at a fourth Simbaya, you could be surprised that there is someone who feels it's not so bad. You get, and it's probably coming from a belief system that we can never rise above number 4 or 3. So in our minds, you've already settled for silver. Can you imagine going to the tournament? Your opponent has settled for gold, and you somewhere behind your mind, you're like, okay, third and fourth Simbaya. Those are two different outcomes. You will reach where your mind has decided. Yeah. So it's holistic. Coaches, players, management, and how are we approaching this individual player who is in the field? What's actually their big step? Do they believe that they can play and get to the goal? Because if I believe that and my teammate doesn't believe that, we're on different wavelengths, and our outcomes will be disconnected, and it show. So for me, I would go back and even just understand these players. How are they thinking? Do they believe they can go it? Given the opportunity, will they grab it and go for it and beyond the fourth? Do we believe we go beyond the bronze and silver and actually get the gold, or do we just participate for silver? And that's something we really need to look into. Even the coaches, when you're training your players, do you actually believe? Tunasema believe, but do you really believe that they can get that gold, or do you also think that silver is enough? Yeah.
Yeah, Mariano, where do we go next, or what do we do next? Because we can't keep getting fourth season in, season out, or each tournament coming. We can't get fourth. We need to at least show some improvement. And some of the aspects I want you to highlight is also react to what Kagochi has said, because we know that one of the problems we have as a country is to actually have hold of a squad. You might find that this time you have this squad, but come the next competitions, next competition, for one reason or another, you won't have the same individuals. You look at nations like Egypt, you look at nations like South Africa, they are able to retain that playing unit. So what do we do next, and how can we ensure that at least we can hold this playing unit for the next 6 or 7 years as we bring in new blood?
Thank you once again. I actually took note of what Coach Kagoshis pointed out in terms of they have started a system of taking up at least 2 rookies to every tournament. Yeah, already that in itself is a starting point. But then deeper questions come up, like after they have gone to that tournament, what have they learned? What do they bring back to their team? They are from different setups. They are from different teams brought together. So there's always that learning curve or learning points that they do come back with. And then we have what Doreen has just pointed out, a holistic approach to every aspect, from players, coaching, management. Everybody is a cog in this system. Everybody is a part of this ecosystem that is the national team. So if back home, for example, there's different vibes to what the team is facing out there. There's a feeling of lack of unity, or when there's that already in itself gets to the team, and that's maybe the 1% that Doreen is already pointing to. So there's a culture aspect to our game that we need to try and inculcate through the different players. Once it comes through the players, definitely it even makes work easier for the coach, because he sees this player has a certain level of discipline, what you've talked about, physicality, speed, uh, tactical or tactness in the game. So it's something that we need to get together, to work as a unit. We need to bring these different aspects of the game together. So if it's players, we need to pick. Like right now, we have Max, we have Alan, who are part of the national team as experienced players. So because they were there, maybe they brought an element of stability to the way the team plays. So uh, by virtue of having that experience, they should not also just go there as players, but even come back as coaches, because again, they go back to their respective teams with a lot learned, a lot gained over the years. So if they are also challenged or able to mentor players, yeah, such that even the coaches know that uh, Mariano is under Alan's wing, so he should be playing his style of game, or should be doing better than him, for example. It If we take that individual responsibility and action, then that's where uh, our root process in terms of going forward should start from.
Yeah, well said. Kagochi, you are a proponent of best practices, and whenever we have you on the show, or whenever I have a discussion with you, you keep talking about best practices. Some time ago on my social media handles, I posted that we better start changing how we do things, because how we are doing things is, number one, we are being left behind by our competitors, and number two, there is not much improvement. And I remember I had a conversation in Mombasa. I had a conversation with Wiki and Majiwa, and I was asking them, what can we do to revitalize our leagues such that we make sure that there is competition? Because a lot of people are coming out saying that in the country we don't have a lot of games that can actually challenge a player to improve. Furthermore, um, the current structure we have of leagues and the county tournaments do not quite provide as much for also the coaches to do scouting and see which players are around the country. So, in terms of how we are training our club players, how we are training our national team, how we are running our leagues and tournaments, do you think that we need to revitalize and change and try to at least give more to the players and the coaches, that they can now see the need to improve their competitiveness?
Yeah, Simon, um, I've spoken about it so long, and I think it can be a song, and it can be a best hit. I've talked about structure. So one of the biggest problem we have in Kenya, Simon, is that now, currently, as we speak, Coach Kagochi does his things this way. Coach Meshak does his things this way. Simon does his things this way. Doreen does his same this way. In our groups, we have players who play for the national team. So as a country, we have not sat down, identified what's our core strength. What are the values we want to put forward for our players to have?
Yeah.
And so for now, as we speak right now, we've been pushing about the coaches, what was it? The coaches workshop
Conference.
or the coaches conference, so that we bring all the coaches in the country and we come out with values that each player from Kenya, be it in high school, be it in primary school, be it in in university, that understand and agree to those structures. Now, Simon, I won't lie to you.
Yeah.
We might have the best coaches in the country, but as long as we don't have an agreed value structure, an agreed tactical structure that comes from the top to the bottom, we'll still go around the circle. Let me give a good example, Simon. South Africa, and I had the privilege of working there. There are players from high school, they have one curriculum from the coaches. So we know South Africa plays with double blockers. So even now, I'll tell you, South Africa plays with double blockers. So it's from top to bottom. They have certain beliefs they have that, for example, if we recover the ball on the right side, we can't play the ball on the right side. We have to play the ball short pass, long pass. Now, a kid in primary school and a kid in high school, they understand that behavior when you lose the ball or when you get the ball. So that has been in their mindset, in their mind frame. So when these kids come to the national setup, they are able to play around with that idea that they have. Now, let me ask you, what are the strengths of a Kenyan? What attributes do Kenyans have that we can work on that to build a better team? Let me give you an example of Ghana. Ghana are very strong passers of the ball. These guys can pass long passes. They have identified that as a strength, but what other sides up? So I feel, Simon, the players we have are fantastic. But as long until we build something, just hold on, I'm somewhere. Yeah, until we build something, a structure where Simon comes to coach national team, there's a certain attributes which are there. That's agreed. If Doreen is coming to coach as national team, there are certain values and theories and philosophies and principles that we agree on. It makes the work easy. So, for example, Simon, how many teams in Kenya press?
I think in the Premier League, I can only tell you 2 or 3 at most.
How many people, when they are playing, if you're sitting on City Park, you can actually see their structure of play.
Very few.
I think, Simon, when I say this, and Doreen has been part of my mentorship program, these are the things we are talking about. It values, Simon, values. So, for example, India, Simon, 2 years ago, I was involved in education of India. We sat down and designed their playing principles. They're about 20. How all the coaches should understand when they recover the ball. So every coach from high school to the national team, they understand a certain structure. So it's just now building on that. So I feel that is really, when I talked about tactical discipline, when you bring a new tactic and we have only 4 games, which are qualifiers for us to see if it works, we are shooting ourselves on the foot. So
so sorry to cut you short, because the point I'm making is, and that's why I'm making that point, or I'm asking that question, Kagochi, is do the coaches have enough to go by to try out a tactic? Because I mean, let's be honest. Let's look at our league, and this is something that happens. You can find a team that plays 1 league match today, or 2 league matches this weekend, and then they can stay for a whole month without playing another league match. Okay, during this time, the coach and the players are not involved in training. They are not involved in any competition. So once we go by that, it also becomes difficult, even if we come up with a national curriculum to train the coaches on how to train the players. It will become difficult, because During that time, it's when now we expect like county leagues to take over. Is when we expect county tournaments to take over. So as much as yes, we need to formulate that, but we don't have much to go by.
Simon, that's why I talked about the environment.
Mhm.
Is the environment conducive for our players to grow? Is the environment conducive for our coaches to grow?
Mhm.
How much can we are talking about the federation, but I'm talking about also about the people who are working around the setup. What are we supposed to do? So that's a question we need to address and talk about it. Why I'm saying this, from best practices, we need to have a calculated move that this is where we want to go, and this is what we need to do to go there. Yeah,
True.
Simon.
Yeah. Like for example, one of the best examples, before I allow Doreen to comment on this, I'll pull in Mariano, and I like why Mariano has come in. Because one of the best examples and best practices is Mombasa County Association. Most of us might not know, but Mombasa County have been having their county league going on. And these are some of the things we speak by. And if we look at the record, the hockey in Mombasa is growing. It's growing in leaps and bounds. We have teams that are coming up and they are competing. I was shocked that this weekend we had a team like Mombasa West beat Mvita. Okay, so Mariano, what do you think? Now I'll allow you to speak, or I'll ask you to speak as a member of the county associations. Do you think that there is an over-reliance on the national leagues for competitiveness?
Well, I will agree with you. Yes, there is an over reliance. Reason being, I think we've noted over the last 2 years or so, especially the COVID period, we have a lot of players out there who have really missed out on the sport that they love. So, for example, how even the county league started out at some point, players had missed out on training. They had missed out on grounds for training at some point. So they used to gather in I think you've seen Intamta tournaments that started up because most grounds were closed. So in the process, they felt that we should take this to the next level. Uh, probably bring these clubs together, or all these players are definitely affiliated to a club within Mombasa County. So in the process, this was an initiative of the players, and that again now goes that to back to that concern on culture. So if this push comes from the players themselves, then you see such leagues coming up because the players are able to gather themselves up with technology. Of course, WhatsApp. Are you available this weekend? We can have a game this weekend. We can have a game next weekend. This is and this is actually like the second the second round. The first one was actually called something like it was called the Ocean Circuit
Yeah,
that had
yeah.
a round of matches every 2 weeks. There was a round of matches, and this was an initiative of the players. And then come around November, that's when MCHA also stepped in and also became part of it. The initial round was an initiative of the players, and then the second round has been an initiative through MCHA. So as soon or as recently as on Sunday, there was a third leg of the same. The first leg was on 28th of November, and then the second leg was in 5th of December, which came hand in hand with the Jamhuri Cup, which was on 12th of December. So that in itself uh, brings out again a replica of the same with the national team, whereby they need that exposure with competitive matches so that when they participate in such tournaments, they're able uh, to participate knowing what kind of structures, right? What kind of structures they're implementing. So it was even there were much improved performances by the coastal teams in the Jamhuri Cup.
Yep.
And considering already they've had one round last weekend, and improved results from the teams. Even on the ladies' side, as much as there are two ladies' teams, they're also benchmarking against each other in terms of targets and scorelines and so on and so forth. So at least by the time the leagues do start, we hope that even the coaches have had the opportunity to implement or at least see how their teams or which player fits to what kind of structures within the clubs. So going again round nationwide, I think we were also able to see there was an Uasin Gishu tournament, there was a Kitale tournament. Though it was one time, but if this is repetitive, then we're able to grow the sport at grassroots levels and improve culture.
Yeah, Doreen, we've seen so many tournaments, especially from mid last year and until now. So many tournaments springing up, and I was having a conversation with one of my team members at Hockey K, and we were discussing and saying, imagine if those teams sprouting in the villages and in up country and those smaller towns outside Nairobi, because Nairobi is the major focus of hockey. But just imagine those smaller teams, with all due respect by using the name smaller, imagine those players having an experience to play against clubs like Butali, against clubs like Police, against clubs like Blazers, Strathmore. That would bring up growth. In fact, it will even allow certain talents to be discovered. I mean, look at the high school competitions. When you attend those provincial and national competitions, there's so much talent. Do you think that it's high time that we start embedding these tournaments in our county associations, even in the national associations, so that we can allow them to even play against bigger teams and eventually have these younger players grow into these players like now the Iningus, the Wakilas, the Cheplaitis, because that's where we'll get the players.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. And in fact, this is something that should have been going on. I remember back in the days when I was still playing, we used to have so many tournaments. Like a month wouldn't pass when there's no tournament. Simba, Barclays, there was a tournament going on somewhere. And I remember that is one of the things that helped me even to improve, and even my contemporaries, because every other weekend, if you're not training during the week, every other weekend there's a tournament going on somewhere. So the more you're exposed, the more you learn. Definitely you're stretched, and your body also, just the fitness inakuja too. By the time you're going for the league, you're okay. Maybe you only need to do conditioning and whatnot. So I strongly support the growth of the other teams in different counties. And it can be structured in a way that, for example, if there's a tournament in Coast, there's a concurrent. It doesn't have to be it's Coast only Coast. You can have like 3 concurrent tournaments going on. There's Coast, there's one going on in LD, there's another one in Nakuru, probably at the same time. And then if you have like 5 or 6 of them, and you're like the winners in these tournaments, this monthly or every 2 months, the winners in these tournaments are going to compete in a round robin at City Park. So they have something bigger and greater to look forward to than sisi ndio machampes wa mtaa tu hapa. So you have something like to look forward to. When we win in our county in Uasin Gishu, we're going to play against the guys who won in Coast, who won in Nakuru, who won here and here. So it builds that consistency, even if it's not a league, maybe it's just like a tournament setup of some sort. Because the more the players are exposed, the more even the coaches have a wide pool of, people to choose from. The more you start having these conversations, what do you think we should do to structure ABCD? That's where it starts from. But when we sit and then we want things to manifest and magic to happen, and then we start pointing fingers, nothing will happen. Something has to happen for things to change. So I strongly support.
Yeah, because in fact, in those tournaments, it will be now the perfect opportunity for the likes of Kagochi to come in and have that coaches seminar or coaches conference. Because if you look at the tournament that is going to happen in Eldoret on 5th and 6th, I believe, there are some coaches who will be
it's
there.
True. And maybe just to add,
Yeah.
sorry, There are people who see themselves like they can't get to play for the Nairobi League. It's too far off. There's someone somewhere who thinks, hey, ndio nicheze Butali ama nicheze Blazers. Hey, but you see, ataingia tournament, acheze, timu yake ishinde, akuje, compete na wao, aone kumbe it's possible, and then things open. Anakuwa open-minded. They are not just limited to where they have come from. And then from there, they're like, okay, there's a national team call-up. I've been getting MVP for the last 3. I've been improving as a goalkeeper the last 3 outings. Let me give it a shot. And you find the right coach, you find the right structures, you fine-tune this player, and then you have a very good player. So I support it completely. We can start from there and build the structures from there.
Yeah. Now, let me go to some of the comments before now I engage Kagochi. We have Emmanuel Kongini saying, one thing we need to appreciate is that there are different levels of men and women hockey in Africa. For the ladies, it is us, Kenya versus Ghana for second place. But for the men, we used to compete for second place against Egypt. But now we are fast fading to 5th place. Yeah, I think we will talk about hockey in Africa in a bit, and I think Agochi can address that. I hope you take note. Yeah, we have Zach Aura who's saying, thanks Zach for watching, we have to be consistent. How many players are still in the team that played in the last major tournament? I said during my last assignment in 2015 that the team that was in SA should continue training at least once a month. And now this team from Ghana is young. Can it be kept together? Zach, I think that's a valid point. We mentioned and said that one of the problems we're having as a nation is that we don't have a consistent playing unit. It keeps changing. For one reason or another, because we do know that our hockey is not professional, it's difficult to keep the players in the game. But that being said, we need to find solutions and keep those players there. And then we do have Stephen Okoth saying Coach Kagochi has a valid point on having a playing structure as a country. My point is, will anyone force me to play a certain structure if I am paying to play in the league without winning anything? Can you force a self-sponsored team to play a certain way? Hockey is a hobby to many in Kenya. And that brings me now to you, Kagochi. We do know that in Kenya, we can say that hockey is a semi-amateur sport because we do have some players who at least earn something, even if it's in form of an allowance. But looking at that point, and that's the view of many players that have, and let's be honest, that's a view that most players have. Is that one of the problems you are facing in Africa in terms of trying to progress the sport? I don't want you to only speak about Kenya because now we need to move to the next stage of the conversation. But are those some of the problems we are facing as African nations?
Simon, long time ago, I used to take it as an excuse. But now I don't, because if you look at the education system, Simon, education has become free. But even if it's free, there's a structure. This is what people watasoma, this time for PE, this time. Yes, it may not work 100%, but there's a blueprint on the background. So for me, I take it as a responsibility for the administration of the sport. Now, I always talk about, currently I'm in Ghana, and by God's grace, by tomorrow, all coaches of the clubs, we're going to have a day or two of workshops of training the new ways. Why all coaches? Because the head coach, he's very qualified. But after this assignment, the players goes back to the police, others to the army, others to the fire station, fire service, Ghana Revenue Authority. So now when they go back, guess what? They go back to the default. So unless now we take the coaches and we say these are the best practices, these are the attributes that that we want for the Ghanaians players should have, and we speak about it. Now guess what happens? When he speaks that, and maybe the coach speaks about his vision, his goal for the country, all of them, and we involve them, they feel involved. So that's one. Two, Simon, athletics in Kenya professional? Do they have structures?
Yes, they do.
Is rugby professional?
No.
Do they have structures?
Yes, they do.
So in short, what I'm trying to say, I think for so long, we are looking for excuses. We are not looking for other ways of doing things differently. I like the way you talk about coast hockey. Simon, the guys in coast, do they have money? No. But do they have the intent and the motive of develop the sport? Yes. Are they willing to go beyond the norm to? Yes. So for us to reach professionalism, everybody should be speaking the same language. And I like what Zach has said. Simon, there's no hiding. There's nowhere to hide. I remember, Simon, remember what I told you? I had warned you about Nigeria. Didn't I? I had warned you. And now, who thinks Kenya is special to be on top? The other guys are doing something. Nigeria, now they are putting a new turf in Kaduna. They have 3 turfs in 8 places. Now the same team in Kaduna is the same boys who played for Kada Stars, who went for the youth Olympic qualifiers in Algeria. That group has stayed together for the last 4 years. So, Simon, another good example, Belgium, the one which won the Olympics, they have been together from under 17. So Simon, for me, I think we are running so much, and we actually even blaming the National Federation, KHU. Do you know I reached a place and I said, what is Kagochi doing in his level? What is Simon doing in his level? Yeah. What is Mariano doing in his level? So because in the long run, the other guys are stepping ahead. Trust me. You see that Uganda, they have 4 players now playing in Italy. And when they go back, they're not going to sleep because they want to catch up with Kenya. So in short, the problem we have in Africa, Simon, is that we sometimes over-rely on other people to solve our problems. But the problems lies with us. Number one, are we able to sit down together? I may not like you, Simon. I may not like Doreen. I may not like Mariano. But does he have something which can take our sports forward? Looking far beyond the persona. Matters hockey, I think Kenya has really grown, Simon.
Yeah.
I'm talking about all the coaching clinics we've had in Kenya, all these workshops from KHU. Simon, people tactically are aware. But now the problem, and this is what I said, can we galvanize all those principles we have learned to one which everybody in Kenya can follow?
Yeah.
2, Africa, the same thing. So now the question I asked here in Africa, Simon, do you know why South Africa is always on top?
Most of us don't.
The reason why they're always on top, they are not better than us, Simon. If the game was being played for 1 quarter, we could have killed them. But now what is happening? These guys have designed certain structures, yes. But because of the tournaments they are playing, they are able to keep on changing their tactics and prove and test their tactics if they can work for the highest, playing against the highest countries and not the lowest in a bad way, but the least countries. That's why when you're going for 4 quarters, they are more, you saw the games, they are more balanced, they are more composed. Even if they are 2 goals below, they are more composed. This one can only come from playing matches. And I asked the vice president of Africa Hockey one question. Oh, this tournament is, and this is what I said, the tournament has been great. Oh, wait for another 2 years. And maybe the next 2 years, we won't have the same number of teams coming. So she asked, what are you trying to say, Moses? I said, I wish we can have some test series, even if we divide Africa into 2. That way, Simon, the same structure you had, the same players who have exposed will play against other people. So, Simon, hockey and every sport is becoming like piloting. It's about the man hours, the hours you fly. Hockey is about the hours you play in high performance hockey. So we can talk all these things, but I think our boys did their best. But again, is the environment conducive for not only Kenya, but for the rest of Africa to grow? And that's by playing more test matches. There are issues about funding, which is a problem. But how can the problem is still there, but how can we address it? How can we work towards it?
In terms of funding, because now I want to engage Doreen there. In terms of funding, I find it a discussion that, and I'll say this, and I know I'll get a lot of stick for saying this, but when it comes to funding, a lot of people shy away from the truth and shy away from the hard questions and the hard reality that, and I'll say this and I'll say this clearly. KHU will not get your club funding. The league will not fund your club. There is no league in this world that funds a club. If you are trying to compare hockey league with football, you are wrong. Why? Because the amount of money that is being pumped by sponsors in a league is the money that is being distributed among the clubs as a kitty for development. So until we get a league sponsor, until your club gets a sponsor, we will continue having this issue of paying to play. So let's be clear on something. If your club is not well structured, and Doreen, now this is where you come in. If the club is not structured, do you think someone can come in to invest?
Definitely no. There is no sane investor who will invest where there are no systems and structures. There are no numbers. Akiangalia hivi haoni, because it's an investment. There has to be a return of some sort, whether it is a player going out in exchange for some revenue, playing for a top club, like the way the rich guys buy football clubs. Yeah. So if there is no structure, there are no systems, there is nothing that can stand. Not a car, not a chair, not a team. No one will invest in that, not even yourself. So I agree, there has to be systems and structures. And it's also one thing I really believe in. Anywhere you find progress, you'll find that there's a system and there's a structure. A system that outlives even the people who are there, It outlives even the investor. It can keep running when these people are not present. That's the element of a system, because it brings about checks and balances. There's traceability, there's accountability, there's responsibility. You can identify and pinpoint areas that need correction or not. So if all this is lacking, who is putting in their money there? It's impossible. I agree, it's impossible.
Let me now engage Mariano, because Mariano is playing for a well-structured organization in MSC, and I don't want to go into the fine print of what goes on. But Mariano, you play for a club that is well-structured, has checks and balances, the money is well accounted for. Now, compare your club, and I want to be honest, because this is an honest conversation. I want to compare your club with other clubs where the players are self-sponsoring themselves and the players are paying to play. And this conversation is not to make the clubs feel downplayed, is not to make the players feel downplayed, but it is to show them that for us to get to that level where the clubs are paying their players, there need to be some sort of structure, as Doreen has said. Looking at your structure and looking at other clubs, how far do these clubs need to go to get to where clubs like Butali, Telkom, where they once were, and other clubs you are seeing around if we compare to other sports? How much work, Mariano, do we have to do to get to that level?
Sorry, my microphone was muted. Well, there is some way to go, and having structures goes hand in hand with accountability and transparency, because that's normally the main bone of contention with having a structured club. Once there is accountability and transparency, then it means there is honesty in terms of how you conduct your transactions as a club. Immediately, as in, these things actually have that ripple effect. Once one is in hand, a sponsor or a partner sees that you're accountable, you're transparent, they want to work with that. Now, when it comes to the financial aspect, for example, um, over the years, Mombasa Sports Club has had uh, a background of, some the members. The members are the middle class, the working class, so they play a part in terms of the contribution for membership. And then, other than that, there are kitties that are set aside. The club does not fully sponsor the team, but it's up to a certain percentage. So, as long as they don't sponsor 100%, they give you, let's say, 30%. But then the balance is up to you as a team to go out there and try and plow it back. Plowing it back, again, beside accountability and transparency, it goes hand in hand with performance. So
Yeah.
any partner wants to associate themselves with the winning team, right? With the winning team, that's why you have to, you have to blow your trumpet when you win. Everybody needs to know that you've won. The small milestones that you make, you have to shout out there. You have to, as Doreen pointed out, show them the numbers. So if for example we go back, it's a members club, but anytime we go to Nairobi, we even if you win a match, you come back home, you show them that we've won this match because you supported us to this level. So now we want you to escalate this, improve on this, and that's what kept us going. And that's what has kept us going. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So Duncan is saying that KHU is structured, however, lack of financial transparency will make any sponsor shy away. The little we have is currently being mismanagement by the union. Well, I don't have anything to say about that because I don't have any facts or proof to say about that. But the reason as to why I've highlighted that is because of the next comment. I'm trying to get Kagochi back. Just give me a second. The reason as to why I've brought up that point is because of the next point. It says KHU is an impediment to sponsorships to teams. This will always want to be part of they will always want to be part of the gains. Well, there is some truth in that because personally I have had an encounter engaging or regarding the sponsorships. But I don't want to dwell into the politics of that. All I just want to say is this with regards to that, and then I engage Kagochi on how teams get or clubs get sponsorships abroad because he has been involved in clubs. All I have to say about those 2 points is this. The best KHU can do for me is, and this is more or less like my opinion, is to have that environment and to have policies that do allow sponsors to come in. As Kagochi has said, the environment. If KHU do provide an environment where a sponsor can come in and actually sponsor a team, whether they want a gain or not, but there is an environment that actually encourages sponsors to come in, well and fine. Well and fine. If that gain KHU accounts for it and says we used this gain to buy our under 17 team food for the next 1 year, why not? Let them get the money and account for it. So as I've said, I don't have any proof as to whether KHU do account or don't account for their cash. So until I get that proof, or I get that document, I can't say about how they are spending their money. But all I can say is KHU to provide that environment where sponsors can actually come in. Number two, counties also need to provide the same environment. Okay, because these clubs are affiliated to the county. So do the counties provide that environment? Number three, does your club provide that environment where a sponsor can come in and easily fund you? For example, if a sponsor comes in to your training randomly, just decides, let me go to Mombasa Sports Club to view how the club is training. How many players will they find on the pitch? How many coaches will they find on the pitch? If they ask where is the club president, what answer will you give? So as much as, yes, we want KHU to improve, also down in the grassroots, we need to improve. Yes, we have our own issues. Clean up our house. Let's clean up whatever mess is there in the counties and the national level. let's all create that environment where a sponsor can come in and say, from the club, from the player to the club to the county to the national level, this sport is organized. Otherwise, we will always continue pointing fingers saying ule hajafanya, akifanya ndio nitafanya, and we'll never go ahead. So Kagochi, what do those clubs do to get that, or what do what do the national associations do, the regional associations do, and the clubs do to give that environment where a sponsor can actually step in?
First and foremost, Simon, we need to get this mindset. Professionalism is not the issue that there's money getting there. Professionalism is running things in the proper and accurate way. So that's one thing we have to get there. What do they do differently there? First and foremost, their regional association are so well organized. One thing they do, number one, is that they put their requirements in a board. So for example, they will say, this year, we want our regional team to play in the nationals. We need kits, we need this and this and this and this. And then from there, from the last regional tournament, this is what we achieved. So what Mariano was saying, there's super accountability. Where somebody says, if I give 1 million shillings for kitting, you won't take 500 to pay the staff and buy 500. No, you'll say the 1 million has gone to the kits. The extra kits, we have put them aside for reserves. So one thing that they're very good at is that they have that. Secondly, they have employed somebody, a CEO, whose role is to run the association like a company. He clocks in at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock and clocks out at 5 o'clock. Besides him, there are volunteers who receive some part-time amount, and they are put in different committees. So if you look at it, that's what I was talking about structure, Simon. So from there, like now the club I am with, they are sponsored by Volvo Bus, Volvo. Okay, and they have many sponsors. They are high-end sponsors, small sponsors, and so everything about what they do is well accounted for. But there's somebody who continuously is running the affairs of the association. That's I can say like the county. Now the same thing is escalated to the national. How do they get sponsorships? They package the club in such a way people are attracted to the club. So for example, our club will say we have 1,800 members. Okay, we have 150 teams. We have these teams which are playing in the highest level, which means they go all over Netherlands. So you see, as an investor, I'll come and see, hey, the membership. 2, hey, the number of teams. Oh, they are playing in these leagues. So basically, it all goes, Simon, to how we package our county associations and how we package our teams. So for example, teams like Mombasa, there's this new team, what do you call it? The one for, is it Day? I can't remember.
Thank
I don't know them, but when I go to Mombasa, I'll have to go and see them because they are structured. They have a good account in the Facebook and social media. The little things they do, they say. So automatically, if I'm trying to get into Mombasa, of course I'll want to go there. Why? Because they package themselves that way. So Simon, again, I've been a marketer. A product, people don't buy a product, they buy the benefits. So for example, Simon, I know you like iPhone. You don't buy an iPhone because it has a nice casing or a nice picture. You buy sasa ni ukweli tu. Just like Doreen, I won't talk about Doreen what she likes. But the issue is you like the iPhone because it has certain attributes which benefit you. So why should I sponsor a team? What am I going to benefit from that? How many supporters do they have? Let me ask you a question, Simon. How many teams in Kenya can keep count of their supporters? So now, so for example, if I'm in Butali, I'll say, oh, I'm in Butali, we have 10,000 supporters. Evidence?
Nil.
So I'm trying to say, so these guys have the reason why they have members is because these sponsors know that if you want to advertise, if you want value, we already have 1,800 members, and the club has 100 teams. So calculate that with 2 for the parents. Are you seeing? Doreen talks about numbers don't lie. So let's call a spade a spade. How many people support us?
We seem to have lost him there, but I hope we can have him back soon. Moses, if you can hear us. So okay, Doreen, before Moses comes back, this as I say, these are the hard truths that people avoid, because I'm already seeing in the comments you are mentioning this and fingers are still being pointed at KHU. How can we, and the reason as to why I'm saying this is because there are a lot of comments, I haven't posted them here for us to highlight. And first of all, I'd like to apologize for everyone who's posting them and I'm not highlighting them, because I didn't want to go into this right now in this forum. But the question is, how can we have a holistic look at this sport? Because I want us also to come to an end of this, sorry, Kagocha and confused. Moses, Paul,
Yes.
I'll come back to you, but let me talk to Doreen first. Doreen, how can we have a holistic look, as we've seen here, that our clubs are not well structured, most counties are asleep. There are a lot of questions being posted to the national body, but how can we allow, or how can people have a holistic view or a greater view of the problems we have in hockey and start sorting out the problems at the personal capacity, the club capacity, the county capacity, and the national? Because I remember in our pre-show chat, you said that everyone has a problem. What can we do to make sure that kila mtu anakuja, we sit down and actually sort out these issues?
Good question, Simon. My answer is this: we just need people should put their grudges and their egos and their issues aside, and we sit down and have a conversation. And I remember I had shared a proposal on this, and I shared it with the president of the union and some officials. And I told them, and the reason I had shared it is because we had gone to parliament to clarify the issue of money being disbursed and it not reaching the national team players. We went there, and actually I saw how the Parliamentary Select Committee was grilling all the federations, you know. And I remember having a word with Mr. Randiek just outside the parliament, and I told him, if you can have just a conversation, it won't be once. This is something that is ongoing, because you're uncovering layers and layers of problems that have been, piling on each other. Because every time you talk to people, they'll backdate something, they'll backdate an issue. They'll even tell you, hii astronia dini, backdate your issues. Meaning, these are things that have been happening, and maybe we are not taking all the action that we should, or we are not addressing the issue completely, or we are not processing these things completely. So they've been piling and building layers. So there has to be a conversation to start peeling off these layers. And there'll be layers and layers of things to deal with across, bottom up, top. Because everything is touching on the players, it's touching on the coaches, it's touching on the umpires, it's touching on the union, it's touching on the government, it's touching on private sponsorship. So I had given that proposal. Let us look at that. Something else, something like, for me, my passion is with the national team players. For example, you're traveling. Can we have an opportunity to talk to people like who can offer insurance by the time you're out of the country for for a month or two? Can we get into conversations whereby we want to keep the team together for another 2 years? What commitment are you giving the player and assurance that they'll be there? Is it a contract? Is it those series? Are they guaranteed they'll be there so that I can put my studies aside for a while? I can put ABCD for a while. So you see, it's a conversation. And I believe in dialogue. When we put other issues aside and we sit down and look at the issue as it is, not from lenses of pain and grudges, but from a different paradigm, from a different perspective. I want to hear it from Simon's perspective. Simon akisema hivi anamaanisha nini? Mariano akisema hivi anamaanisha nini? You know, I can't come defensive and expect a solution. So I told the chairman and some officials, once we have this forum for a conversation and take actionable steps, I kid you not, even if we dedicate, is it 6 months or 1 year? We are talking about this and we're implementing. We are talking finances, we're implementing. We are talking funding, we're implementing. We are talking umpiring structures and we're implementing. You're going to see a change because that help we're expecting from outside haitakuja. Hiyo kidonda ni sisi tuko nayo na ni sisi tutajifanyia first aid na tupone sisi wenyewe. So open forums, conversations, and realistic ones. We are being honest because the problem is already there. Si ati kudanganyana because we are friends. I can't tell you the truth. No. If the fish is rotten and it's stinking, let's do this. Let's throw it out. Then we bring this. What needs to be amputated? What needs to be done for first aid? What needs to be, you know, what can be fixed, what can't be fixed? If we have these conversations, I believe we'll have a way forward with actionable steps, not just talking. We've been talking forever. Yeah,
true. Nyongesa is accusing me of kulenga points zake hapo juu, but if we give it a blind eye, next year we shall discuss same things again. Tulilala kwa floor in SA 2015, but we play against teams sleeping in 5-star hotel. Same management. And then Marco Tieno anasema hosts anaongea mingi. Apparently I'm not supposed to kuongea. And then Doreen, tell them in 2013 the ministry disbursed allowances directly to us when the tournament was played here in Kenya. Why? Integrity and transparency. So as I said, and I'll say this again, and I don't know why people usually misquote me for supporting one side and not supporting the other side. I try as much as possible to be fair, and the fairness comes in where we need, as Doreen we've said, we need to have a look at all sides. We need to have a look. We need to also put the other shoe, tusikie mahali inafinya, so that we know by the time tunakuja kwa hii meza kuongea, these are the issues we are sorting out. Otherwise, giving a history of records, giving a prediction, we won't help us until we actually, number one, accept I have done a mistake, whether it's the president or the SG or the coach or Simon, the journalist, statistician, or Kagochi, or Nani Amadao, the treasurer of MCHA, or Doreen, the fan of hockey. We have to sit down and say, guys, this is where we are going wrong. If we don't actually come down to the same level and say, hapa ndio makosa ilifanyika, hapa ndio tumekuwa tukiumia, then that process of reconciliation, process of healing, process of reviving the sport won't start. At the moment, we have a lot of pain. We have a lot of hurt that is there, and it's clear, it's evidence. Yeah. So I didn't want to go into this right now because I wanted to have another forum to discuss this, and it's quite unfortunate we've gone into this. But as I go into the next stage of the show, because we need to end it, I'll say this. Please, guys, I know you're going through a lot. I know you're not happy. I know you want change to happen instant, but some things need time. Some things need actual conversations. So let's try as much as possible to try to have those forums. Let's discuss those issues. For example, most of our clubs have issues. Can we start there? Most of our counties are asleep. Can we go there? Our National Association has issues. We also need to discuss that. So let's not only focus on KHU. Yes, I agree there are issues there. Let's also ask questions about our counties. let's also ask questions about our clubs. And I think that's that on that discussion, because we need to end now. Mariano, do you think it's fair for FIH not to give us Pro League slots and to give us very few slots for the World Cup?
Wow, that's a tough one, considering considering the criteria that they use to select these teams. Is there some you being a statistician, is there some coefficient that they use in terms
Yeah,
of
they do.
performance of the teams by continent? So
Yeah.
there should be some basic arithmetic that they use to benchmark and know that there is a minimum. If they do decide to lower that standard, then definitely it will affect the quality of the game. So there must have been some reasoning behind that, and that needs it's the other way around. It's not for them to increase the slots, but it's for us to also up our game before we make that call or request to have the number of slots increased. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go to our final thoughts. Let's start with Kagochi. I'm a freeze. Okay, let's go to Doreen. What are your final thoughts?
Final thoughts. I'll mention the tournament. Ladies and gents, we are proud of you. We are supporting you. You're a very good side. And to the coaches, I hope you'll keep this team together. Find a way to keep them together, whether it's in tournaments or those things that you do off the pitch. Motivation, team bonding, doing some things together. Hata kama ni tree planting, get to know each other off the field. You gel better in the field. And then, still, to the associations or people in leadership capacity, and the national body, Kenya Hockey Union, we need to get this conversation going. And I hope, Simon, you'll book a slot, the next one. We just have a candid conversation, because either way, everything rises and falls on leadership from whatever level, from the house to the country. So if we can have that conversation openly, frequently, genuinely, with actionable steps, as I have said, because there's a lot to be looked at, we will gradually start peeling off the layers and getting solutions bit by bit, and we'll get to where we want to go. Thank you.
Yeah. Madam?
Wow, she's basically said almost everything, considering
She just said the grace.
The grace tu nimebaki tumalize. But in terms of leadership associations, yes, county associations have a big role to play. They have a big role to trickle down information, top down, bottom up, to share all this information to the players, and even escalate the players' grievances to the national union. But now everyone needs to understand their role when it comes to understanding the objectives and delivering their message, their requests.
Yeah.
So basically, we need to sit down and have that discussion.
Yeah. Moses, your final thoughts.
Simon, I'm one person who have understood through the journey that it's okay to be wrong.
Yeah.
It's okay to have a divergent view, but listen. The biggest challenge we have in our country right now is it's like we are talking about the, sorry to say this, you're talking about KHU, you're talking about the teams, but you're forgetting the most important person, the players.
Yeah.
The moment we have the players in the back of our minds, our decisions will change. So for example, these kids who came here, Simon, I won't lie to you. When you know the truth about what happens in the government, you keep quiet. And I gave a good example. So for example, and we are laughing at it, we say, for example, the accountant maybe in the sports ministry was in the Ministry of Livestock. He's transferred to the Ministry of Sports. Boss, sina ubaya. Sasa ingine atakuwa tu akifikiria status quo iko pale. So challenge yangu ni hii, Simon. Kagochi akiretire anaingia coaching, Doreen akiretire anaingia coaching, Saibo akiretire anaingia coaching, Mariano akiretire anakuwa umpire. Why don't we have people who retire and aspire to be administrators in this kind of things, and they go to school, study about sports management, and because now we keep on complaining, but do we have anybody who's thinking about the athletes in the Ministry of Sports? Are the guys in the Ministry of Sports former sports people? Or they're just accountants? Simon, well, ushafanya kazi na accountant. Yeah, naangalia vile ata save. For example, if Kenya is supposed to travel tomorrow, watasema Friday, waseme wacha wasiende hiyo, tuko tumesave pesa ya accommodation. Haangalii maana ya acclimatization, haangalii build up games. Simon, let me shock you. Nigeria for the first time was the first team to reach Accra 1 week before. They are not lucky with those results. So what I'm trying to say, everything, I have a part to play. Okay, Simon, let me just say it here once and for all. A lot of people say tunaongea mingi, tunafanya hivi, but we are doing something. Where is everybody else? Why are people making noise outside there? Come, let's try and build our hockey. It needs everybody. It needs everybody, because, Simon, I want a situation where my child will play professional hockey in Kenya because of the hard work of Simon, Doreen, Mariano. Everybody has to come and work out. So there are big dreams, big hopes for Kenyan teams, but we have to address the environment and how we do things. That's
true.
That's my take.
I was going to mention
Doreen.
that the environment, matters.
Yeah, nani Kagochi, Amit anasema nimemlenga leo ni sawa tu. It seems you still owe him a drink. You guys are still yet to sit down and have a drink. So make sure umeonana na Amit. Make sure
I'm coming back on Friday, so I'll look for him in Ngara.
He has very interesting questions for you. I think you need to answer.
No problem.
You need to sit down.
Oh, unajua me, I don't shy away. If I'm wrong, I say I'm sorry, forgive me. If I'm right, he has to say sorry. Anyway, no problem. I think Simon, the only way we are going to change situation is by having conversations. Conversation bring the cats out of the bags very easily. We can't fight. So it's good to have this conversation. Thank you for having me in the show.
Yeah, no problem. And key point is conversations, not arguments, not name calling, not throwing mud at each other. Conversations where you actually sit down calmly and talk. My final thoughts is, first of all, let me apologize for not reading all your comments. I can see the mood, the emotion in the comments, but we are going to have a forum for that. I promise you, we are going to have a forum where the conversations must happen, and I've taken account of most of your questions and points, and I shall factor them in the next conversation. To be honest, I'm usually very careful not to come out and say things that I'm unsure of, and also I give out my opinion based on how I feel things should go, just the same way you're giving your opinions. Thank you so much for tuning in, and once again, receive my apologies for not highlighting some of the comments in the comment section below, because I don't want to invoke a lot of negative emotions, especially after all that has happened. I think, yes, we will have a forum to discuss everything. Yes, questions need to be answered, but tonight's show was not all about that. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Kagochi, for coming in. Thank you, Mariano. Greet everyone in Mombasa and MCHA, and congratulations for all the good work you're doing. Doreen, continue the conversation. I like the conversations you have online. Yeah, and let's continue supporting each other. This game must grow. Until next time, cheers and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.